Hello everybody. Now this is an introduction to two-point perspective. Now you may or may not find this useful, but you do have to know what it is because it's in the syllabus. So I'm being very clear here. Personally, I think this isn't a hugely useful thing for product design sketching, but you might find it helpful. So on your piece of paper or scrap or whatever you got, about 2/3 of the way up, just draw for yourself a horizontal line, a light line in pencil, and select about 2 fingers in from each end, just for the exercise, your 2 vanishing points. So vanishing point, vanishing point. And basically we're going to create a 3-dimensional shape that appears to float in space, and all the construction lines will originate from these points. It would be useful to have the trusty old drawing tools, the 45-degree angle, or if you prefer it, the 30, math's gone blank now, 30-60, and maybe some small rulers. Okay, so here we go. Now with the edge of this, so I can just about see the line there, I'm just going to do a line. I'm not measuring anything here, and so it should look something like that. With me so far? Now what you do is, and here's where a long ruler is very, very handy. Anything that I'm coming in from this side in, to help you understand, I hope, I'm going to use a colour. For yourself, of course, you'll just be using pencil. I'm going to go from this point, I'm going to skim past the top of there, and I'm going to keep going. Now I do remember a memorable lesson with the A-level group where I attempted to show them this, and there were some quite legitimate questions like, why? What's it for? How will I use it? It's really up to you, but you have to know what it is. So from this same vanishing point, I'm now going to skim this point and keep going. So a long ruler is handy, but if you haven't got one, another piece of paper can act as a long ruler, and so on. So those are my first lines. They start at this vanishing point and they touch the bottom and the top of that line. We'll switch to another colour now. You have to have a kind of slight sense of expectation that this will work, because there are times when it will just look like a baffling mass of lines. So I've switched to pink. From this vanishing point, touch that one, keep going. And I have to say this is more useful if you are an architectural type of person. So we've got 2 lines from that side are in the sort of turquoise colour. Same thing here, from there, touching the bottom of that. Now because I've practiced this a lot, I can already see a regular shape hidden in this mysterious grid. Alright, so can you see it? I'm going to end up with something that looks a bit like this. That's what I am anticipating. And it's hidden in here, and this line is that one. So out comes my pencil again. I'm going to select, there are some, sorry, I'm having trouble with my technology here, just slide that off there. I'm going to come in, I'm going to create my vertical from that point there. So I get my set square, check by looking just above where it is, and here is my next vertical. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to come, yeah, so I'm just going to do this here. As you can see, there is no, I'm not giving any precise measurements. I'm just learning how to use the technique, and I'm going to go there. So I hope what you can see is one face, second face, one face, second face, and now I just have to complete the lines. So I go back to my, coming in from the left colour, from the vanishing point. This time it's going to cross that point. It's a new intersection point. And keep going. Now I'm using coloured lines to help you, but it should really be faint pencil lines. So those of you who are ahead know that I'm going to have to complete this shape by coming in from my vanishing point here, and this is the intersection point. I made those, I made that decision, you can as well. So from that point, across there, and I have made, here I'll switch to my fine liner, a shape using 2-point perspective. This is something you do have to concentrate on, otherwise you end up with a sea of lines and you can't see what's going on, you can't see the value of it, and you just think, oh, pfft, don't like this at all. Now this is a regular shape, placed quite centrally in the space. If you can get the hang of this, it's quite a good one to show that you've got quite well developed skills. So there's my shape. And using the techniques that I used before, I'm going to create this as my direction of light, which means this will be in shadow, and I'll just quickly cross hatch that in. So that will be all in shadow. Remember the technique. Go across yourself. Or just colour in with felt tip pens, it's up to you really. And because it's actually very dark, I'm going across the third way. Now there are loads of ways to do this, absolutely loads, so don't think I have to do it the Miss Coffee way. Don't think you have to do it at all. Let's create a tiny little hint of light here. And another stylistic thing that you may remember is sometimes people like to do a sort of artistic edge. So there is my shape emerging from my grid lines. Right, you might think, well, so what? Yeah, okay, let's see if it can help us, this technique, to design something else. So here we go. Take that away. This time I'm going to try and turn it into some sort of chair. So I start again with 2/3 of the way up. Be consistent, Miss Coffee. 2 fingers in, 2 fingers in. Here's my vanishing point. Here's my vanishing point. Now before I turn it into chair, I'm going to show you what can happen if you go too high. I'm going to show you what can happen if you go across the line. I'm going to show you what can happen if you go above the line. So there's going to be some very quick ones here just to give an idea. If you go a long way down, well, you can tell me, what do you think will happen? You get a hugely distorted shape, to answer my own question. Very extreme. Now that might be stylistically quite interesting, but it's quite difficult to manage. So those are the two from that side. Might be handy though. Depends on what you want to achieve. Here are the two from the other side. All the way from there. All the way from there. So as you can probably see, the shape is going to be quite an extreme one. So I'm going to go here, and a bit more exciting this time, a bit longer. So again, from your horizon, always from your horizon, and from this one, just flipped it over. This one. So same thing again. From the vanishing point to that intersection. Just skim and keep going. And from the vanishing point to the other vanishing point to this intersection. Just keep going. So it's just a different location of the shape, different position. Just outline it quickly so you can see. Hopefully the more you do this, or the more you look at these things, you'll be able to see what happens. Very occasionally, this is presented to you in the form of an exam question where you are asked to complete a shape that has been started by the designer of the exam paper. So if that happens, you think, yeah, I know how to do that, and you just do it. Doesn't mean it's useful, but it means you can do it. And there's a few more points in your bag of goodies for a fabulous result. Now, some people take to this really easily. It suits a methodical nature. They get it. Okay, so there's one that's a bit more extreme and it's well below the line. You can do them across the line. Here I'll need two things. I'll need the set square to locate it, and I'm just going to go through that line there. Okay, what's the other one I was going to show you? Above. Okay, so we'll go above as well. Now if you go above, you can view something from below, which actually can be quite exciting. Well, as exciting as technical drawing gets, let's be honest. So here comes from my left-hand side. There are some people who can do this instinctively. You may have heard of a young lad. I'll try and remember to put a link to his work. I forgot to keep going, didn't I? A young lad, Stephen something, who has a form of autism, who can do this from some strange process in his head, which is unique to him. He can look at a scene. He's famous now for doing, coming in again, he's famous now for doing drawings of famous cities, which he has seen only once. Goes on a fly past. He's got the sort of brain that can remember what he saw. Okay, I'm going to do a very tall, thin one this time. So here's my choice of where it's going to end, and here's the other one. Tall and thin. So you do get a lot of control over what you want done here. Just trying to remember his name. I often use him as an example. I will find out, and I will put a link in the PowerPoint that goes with this. Remember, when you're using these sorts of tools, just check and check and check before you commit. I've missed my mark, so back again. This might make it easier to see. There's my mark. Connect those two. And the other one.